What's the angle? I'm not playing that game. It's the same business with a different name. Who's the target? Sorry, I'm not in the market. If I quit buying,
I'm having so much fun with my decorating series, and I thought the next thing we could do is decorate / redecorate, makeover, update my garden terrace. So when we purchased this home, this whole terrace was bare. It only had wood and one planter that didn't have a plant in it, but just 2 candlesticks. Since then, we've been gradually, slowly but surely adding plants, adding planters, and just trying to make it more of a green space, because you can make such an impact on your mental health, on the view from your house, on also just the biodiversity in the city, the heat regulation in the city. Like, this whole area didn't contribute anything positive to the ecosystem basically. And we've just been adding slowly but surely native plants. We've been growing trees, we've been growing flowers. I'm just going to show you around the garden for a little bit, but then also kind of explain what things could use a little bit of improvement, what I want to change for my own experience, but also for a better ecosystem. So if you go out our living room doors, so this is the only planter that we had when we moved in. The rest was all wood, and then they built this bench. So we had one space to sit on, but no greenery at all. As you can see, some things have changed since then. Let me show you around. So this is when you look from the kitchen, you see the blue rain. So the plan is to guide the blue rain up there, and then one strand goes to the left, and the other one I want to guide above the screen, because this is a sunscreen that rolls out. So I want like a whole green area here and then green here. For that, we just have to be patient. We got this plant last year and it has already grown so much. It was probably like this tall when we got it, maybe even a little shorter, and it has already grown twice its size. So we just have to keep an eye on if the planter is big enough, because everything that's above the ground is also under the ground as far as roots. But I think we're pretty good at the moment. So then the rest of our terrace here, this is how we give water every night. These are some lights. And I'm also growing some of our own herbs. So that's one thing I want to add, is grow more of our own food. So I've already started a little bit. We planted some garlics 2 years ago, but garlic is a 2-year plant, so that's gonna sprout soon. And then this is a raspberry plant that I just planted. And then here, I think, is still some of our potatoes. So sometimes we plant potatoes, and then when we harvest them, I guess we forgot a couple, or it might be something else. So we do potatoes sometimes. This is a plum tree, and it's already getting some green leaves. Yeah, so I think right now, as far as food that we are growing in the garden, that's it. But I've been kind of getting into it, and I'm drying some pumpkin seeds. I have made those little planters with tomato seeds. I'm growing a citrus tree for lemons. So I'm just collecting seeds at the moment. It's April, beginning of April right now, which is a really good time to get your seeds out, grow little babies, so that you can plant them like in May or something, at least in the Netherlands. So always look it up for your own area. As far as the food, I'm just going to try out what works. But as far as all the other plants, so this year we haven't even spent anything on plants, but it's super green. And the reason for that is because we focus mostly on native plants that thrive in the specific environment of our terrace. We get not so much wind, but a lot of sun. And of course in the winter we get some ice and snow. So we need plants that can handle a lot of sun, maybe even some dryness, and can also survive the winters. So it's partly trial and error. Like, I don't think jasmine, for example, is native, but we got a couple of jasmine plants from someone. It didn't work in their garden, so they gave them to us, and we just planted them and they thrive here. So that's perfect. But then, for example, forget-me-nots, these are pink, by the way, so cute. Where are they, forget-me-nots? I thought they were, but pink, I don't know. Like our whole garden is filled with forget-me-nots because those work really well in a specific environment of our garden. So if you plant things that are native, they will survive and you can enjoy them for years and years and years. Whereas if you just do things that are exotic, is what it's called. In the Netherlands, we call it exotics. This happens. So this is a sort of really small rose bush that my aunt gave to me for a special occasion, for a gift, and I planted them, but then eventually they couldn't survive anymore because they're not native to the Netherlands. Whereas if you plant things that are more natural, like for example this is a rose bush, but it's one that also occurs naturally in the Netherlands, so this one can thrive and exist for a long time, whereas this one, which was covered in pink flowers, cannot. I'm not the only one who's doing some work in the garden, so don't mind the noise. But what I'm planning is to get more green that's also a little bit higher up, so that we get more of a green view from the window, but also more privacy and of course just more shade because it's so warm here. Like we get sun all day and then the buildings mostly block the wind, so it's just very hot here. So heat control is very important for us here, but also just having like a lush green garden just feels really good. And of course we have a terrace, not an actual garden, so we have to work with what we've got, but so far I feel like it's getting pretty green. And then other things I've been meaning to do is, for example, this corner is maybe looking a little sad. So if you see here, there's like this brown mud almost on the wall. There's some over here as well, but that's because our neighbor's cat jumped down from this, but now they moved, so I should clean that soon. But then here, there's a rain gutter, but there's no attachment to it. So we were thinking to put like, we call it a regenton, to collect the rain. So we have to make a pipe, go down here for the vat, and then we can use that water also to water the garden, so it's more sustainable also. I already have my eye on one that also has a little planter on top, so you can make a little green space for it. So I think that would be amazing. And then as far as furniture, we have this like sort of dining lunch table, and then this is where I sit and read sometimes. These chairs are kind of active, so I want to see if I can find a lounge bed for me to read in. So it needs to be wood, it needs to have pillows, and it needs to have armrests because I'll be reading and I need to put my arms on somewhere. So I'm already looking at Marketplace to see what I can find. Other than that, more planters, but also play a little bit with height. So for example, this has 2 stories, so it raises a lot of the green so we can see it better. So I'm thinking maybe some platforms or some planters that are higher up, or sometimes there are those legs you can put underneath. So there's actually a vintage market going on, so I was thinking to check it out, see if I can find some planters, see if I can find some stuff for the garden. And in the meantime, I'm just looking at Marketplace. So yeah, I just want to create an oasis in the middle of the city, and it should be very nice and inviting for us, but also nice and inviting for the birds and the species, to create something that really supports biodiversity and the ecosystem. Got this stairs, and my mom used to live on a houseboat. She was like, I had exactly these kind of stairs to get inside. So I was thinking to just put some plants on there so we can have some tiers and create some height like I was talking about earlier. I mean, they're pretty cute. Obviously they could use some paint, but I kind of like it, especially because I'm just going to put plants on them anyway. And this area was kind of bare before, so I think it could use some height and something happening here. So yeah, I'm probably just going to garden a little later today or tomorrow and start filling it up. So this little thing is a tree. So I was thinking to cut this out and give it its own planter now before it takes over this whole planter, because trees are pretty strong. And this one also has this super cute forget-me-nots I don't remember what this is, but it will show soon enough. So I'm going to get this out, put it in a different planter, and maybe put it on my new shelf.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
Okay, I'll leave the tree here for now, and then over time I can start adding some more smaller planters around.
And a sparkly shimmer of
I've also been making an effort to grow more of my own food. I scooped these seeds from a pumpkin that I bought at the supermarket. I let them dry for a couple of weeks and then planted them in tiny little planters.
tiptoes, undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all.
I also ordered some native plants from the Kruidhoek, which is a Dutch company that grows and sells native plants. When buying native plants, it's important to check if they can grow in the environment that you have, which is important for any plant, but especially for native plants because there's so little maintenance if they are in the right environment. So our terrace is flooded with sunlight all day, almost every day. So the plants that I got are ones that love sunlight and don't need a lot of shade, because they will not survive if they need shade. It's also just a process of trial and error. Some plants thrive in your garden and others just don't. But I got lucky with this selection, and after potting everything still looks great, but you will see that in the end.
Agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all. A bigger scale the world inhales as we go. I wouldn't want it any other way, no. Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes, undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all. Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes, undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all.
We also purchased a rain barrel that has a planter on top of it, because we want to start using rainwater to water our plants and therefore be a little bit less wasteful with water. And I also got a blueberry plant, as I learned that that's the easiest way to grow your own blueberries, because you can't grow one from a blueberry. And Arne and I both love blueberries, so I hope that I can grow some for us. Another thing we purchased off of Marketplace was this potting table, as well as some other garden furniture, but I will show you that later. But the potting table barely fit in our car or through the door or up the stairway, but somehow we got it all the way up to our terrace, and I'm so happy with this. I use it all the time to repot plants for inside and outside. It's also a good spot to put some storage like empty planters and soil, and yeah, I just love it. Then it was time to clean out the corner for the rain barrel. The walls and flooring got so dirty because this is where all the rain gets dumped from our and our neighbors' roofs whenever it rains, and we live in the Netherlands, so it rains a lot. Also became a bit of a dumping ground for empty plants. So the first thing I did was clean those out. I recycled the plastic ones and reused the pots. Luckily I had my potting table to put as the perfect spot to store these. Arjan scrubbed the floors pretty well, and then I took some hot water and soap to clean the walls as best as I could without messing up the paint and the plaster. result is far from perfect, but I did my best, and it's going to be outside and covered in rain most of the time anyway. I put the rain barrel in the corner to test out how it was going to look, and a couple of days later I had the plumbers come to install the rain pipe, so all the water goes directly into the barrel. And since we got this, I have barely had to use water from our tap to water our plants inside and outside. So I'm so happy with this purchase, and I just use this to water almost the whole garden for the whole spring and summer, which is amazing. Then I went to another market, which was an Easter market this time, which tells you something about how much time has progressed already. I found a couple of super cute planters that were essentially woven wicker baskets. So cute, I love this style. In the meantime, my pumpkin and tomato seeds had started to sprout, which was so exciting as I had never grown anything from scratch before. The pumpkins had a 100% success rate and the tomatoes a little less. I also planted some bell peppers, which unfortunately died because of the heat. But you can't win them all, you know? As the season started to shift, the garden was starting to grow some more summer flowers instead of just spring flowers, and we started to get more sun, and all the plants started to grow really fast. The pumpkins and tomatoes were ready to be repotted, plus a plethora of bugs, bees, birds and other species started to appear, which tells me that our gardening is doing a good job for the environment as well as for us. I try to stay away from the garden center as much as possible, as they sell mostly exotic plants that are full of pesticides and therefore not conducive to biodiversity and a healthy ecosystem, but I did go just to get some earthware pots and plant guides for the plants to grow again. Obviously, we've had to do a few trips to get some extra soil, but we focused mostly on peat-free soil as this is the most environmental option. I repotted our tree that we grew from scratch into a bigger planter so it can grow even taller, and I put in some bamboo sticks with some other plants and trees to guide them to grow a little straighter, because otherwise they'll just grow towards the sun. I got another order of native plants from the Kruidhoek. I'll leave a link in my description box if you live in the Netherlands and want to order native plants for your garden too. I'm not sponsored or anything, I just love native plants. I planted a combination of plants that grow a little bit taller in the back and then a couple that'll grow over the edge in the front so the barrel will look as green as possible. Obviously rain barrels are never pretty, but I feel like we've got the most beautiful version I've ever seen, so this is your sign to get a rain barrel with a planter on top. As the season progressed, we've also been collecting seeds from the plants that finish blooming. We keep them inside to dry so we can replant them next year, and also give to neighbors and friends so they can grow native plants for free. Nice. Oh ja, met de woorden erop zo. Wat schattig.
Goudsbloem. Want die is rond natuurlijk, dus we moeten even met de stip doen en dan hebben we dit gewoon nog. Dus we moeten weer goed zaden verzamelen aan het eind van het seizoen, want dan hebben we ook weer de wilde zaden. Want dit zijn allemaal een beetje de niet wilde.
Ja, inderdaad.
En dan doe ik die vergevenliedjes, die doe ik denk ik aan mijn man geven die hier nog in zit, want hij heeft toch zo.
Then we finally got rid of our dead Christmas tree. Arjan cut it up in pieces and we'll use it for firewood in the fall and winter. So I took the opportunity to plant a new bush that will give really beautiful flowers in spring. I got a really small one for just €4 and put it in a big planter, so it has plenty of room to grow. Piece broke off, so I tried to save that by replanting it, but it didn't end up making it. Some plants work that way and others just don't. Then I put down a rose bush by the door. My tomato plants were ready to go outside, and so were the pumpkin plants, which had grown huge in the meantime. Then we also got a bench for my mom's terrace that she didn't have room for, and I moved the stairs to house my lemon trees and a pumpkin plant and some more plants. It was summer by the time we were done, and I hope you like the results as much as we do. finally done. So we started working on the garden in spring. It's now summer, so keep in mind that some of the things that are blooming are different than the ones that are blooming in spring. But I think it's still going to be very interesting. The first thing, of course, I'm going to show you is our rain barrel. We really wanted a rain barrel, so it's attached to the rain gutter, so that every time that it rains, it fills up. And then down here, we have a little faucet. So then we fill up, Rieter. We fill up this and then we water our garden with it.
Demonstration.
Yeah.
End of demonstration.
And so far, I feel like it has already watered like 80% of every time we water the plants, which when it's sunny in summer, we water them every day. So that's quite a lot of water that we've gathered. I mean, it does rain quite a lot in the Netherlands, but it has been quite dry compared to normal. And then on top, this is why I picked this one specifically, because we put soil and we planted a couple of plants, and some of them are already blooming, as you can see. It's just so fun because normal rain barrels, they just don't look that nice. So I chose this color. It is plastic, but because of the color, it kind of looks like a terracotta planter. And then we just planted it with a bunch of stuff, and a lot of it has grown quite a lot. We've been really enjoying this, and I would totally recommend installing one if you have a garden or a terrace or even a big balcony. Like, I think this is probably my favorite improvement that we've made. Moving on. This we bought off Marketplace from a 90-year-old couple, and they had a really big house where they kept this in their garden, but they moved to a smaller place. So then we bought this from them, and I wanted to use it just to put plants on. I'm probably going to put more onto it as time goes on, but for now this is what we put. And this is actually a fun flower that just blew into here. Like, we didn't plant this, it just sprouted one day, and that's so fun about this one. I think this one as well.
Yes.
This is our tree that Arjan has been growing for a couple of years, and I just put it into a bigger planter, and then different plants also started growing in here. So yeah, we're just gonna see. Trees don't grow that fast, but it is really fun when they have grown, because they give some height to it, which is very important for the gardens, what I'm finding. So this is our compost. We already had this. At some point we might move on to a bigger one, but for now we're just using this planter and it works pretty well. Then here we have the 2 levels for the planter. We already had this, but some different plants are growing at the moment than when we first filmed. So in the beginning there were a bunch of forget-me-nots over here, but now this one is blooming and it's so nice. And then we just have like a fern. This is one of my pumpkin plants. This is just one of them. This is almost the smallest one, but you'll see the big ones in a second. This is just our jasmine. And then these are my tomatoes. I've also grown these from some seeds. So started with just little seeds and now they're already huge. So I hope that they're gonna grow flowers and tomatoes eventually. This is of course our trusted Christmas tree. If you follow me for a couple of years, you must have seen this around Christmas time. I always put this inside for Christmas and decorate it, and then after Christmas put it back out here. So it's grown a lot this year already, and I put in this bamboo to make it a little straighter because it became more crooked over time. So this is almost done blooming, so it doesn't look the best, but we're collecting the seeds and we're going to share that with people to plant in their gardens for free. And then this is a bush from Arjan's brother, but it's not doing too great, so we're just holding on to it a little bit longer, but we probably won't keep it forever. This bench is probably here temporarily because my mom had this on her terrace, but she didn't have room for it anymore, so we're just kind of trying it out. But we might switch it with our couch, our bench. We just got this a couple of days ago, so I just put it in the corner and we'll see. This is a small version of a tree or a bush that we've planted. It's native and it still has to grow a lot, so I just put it in this super big planter, and then I planted a bunch of other plants around it to make it a little bit more green and full for now, but it will grow eventually, so stick around for part 2 probably next year. And then this is the plum tree that I planted, and then these are the other pumpkin plants that I planted. So these are huge. This is another tree. It's really small now, but eventually it will be as big as the other one, or maybe even bigger. So I'm just going to repot it every time it has outgrown the planter that it's in. And then here on the ledge, a lot of the plants that we planted are actually blooming now. So that's so fun. These have a lot of bees and other insects on them during the day. We're really enjoying this, and this is my raspberry bush, and it already grew one raspberry but it fell off before it was ripe, so we'll see how it goes. But we've been enjoying growing a little bit of our own foods, but we're obviously not there yet. And I just wanted to show something from one of the neighbors, is that they have, in Dutch we call this a butterfly tree, and it's a type of tree that shows that attracts a lot of butterflies, and it's in bloom now, so I thought it would be fun to incorporate it in the video, even though it's not our garden. But that's the fun thing about living in a city, is that all your gardens are attached, so whatever the neighbors do, you can enjoy it as well. And then of course this is my blueberry bush. It's not that big yet, but I planted it and it's growing, so we'll see how it goes. But we both love blueberries, so it would be very fun to grow some of our own. And then this is our thyme. We already had this, but it's blooming now, so it's attracting all these bugs, all these bees during the day, and it's just so beautiful and purple. I use this for cooking quite a lot. I usually put it with potatoes or pumpkin in the oven, and it really makes it taste amazing, so I would highly recommend. This type is also native here, so that's fun to cook with some native stuff as well. And then of course this is such a big addition. Don't mind these plants, they need help. I'm trying to like revive them. But this is my repotting table. We bought this off Marketplace, also of an older couple. This is where I repot everything. I'm constantly using all these planters down here, reusing, moving everything around, because as stuff grows, it needs to, you know, evolve into a bigger planter. And I'm just glad that I don't have to use the normal table anymore, because it's just so dirty. We love this. I think this corner is pretty much the same, except for that I put one of the chairs here, because I'm just kind of trying out some different settings with the furniture. Like, there will be a furniture update next year as well, so stick around for that. But the corner is pretty much the same. This is the wisteria, so we're guiding that up the wall, and yeah, one day I hope it grows all around. And then these are just a little tree or bush, and this is kind of, I don't think we planted this, it's just kind of collected in there, so it's just a nice green corner. We love it. And then here I put a yellow rose bush. Yellow roses aren't native here, but it's still a good way to support insects and bees, and I bought it from an organic farm where they don't use pesticides, because pesticides are very, very bad for your other plants, but also for the bugs that come onto your plants. So this is like my little guilty pleasure that I bought something that isn't completely native, but white and pink roses can be native in the Netherlands, so it's not that far off from what is. But I just wanted to have like a little fun, because we already have a rose in the bigger planter that's, I think, pink or white?
Pink.
Pink, yeah. So I just wanted one yellow one, and then eventually I want to lead this up the wall. That's my plan, but you know, it's growing, it's growing. These are 2 more pumpkins. I didn't have any more big planters, so they're just going to have to do their best in the little ones, but we'll just see how it goes. I already gave away a couple, and at some point you just, yeah. This is just what it is. This planter we didn't change. It just has some lavender, I think, in there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like white lavender. These yellow flowers come every year as well, so it's just really fun, a little bit wild. And I think it's very important when you're doing your garden, doing your terrace, your balcony, it's plants. So it shouldn't be too structured and perfect, because it's never going to be that way, because it just grows and it's going to grow how it grows. You can manipulate it a little bit, but I think it's best to just embrace and admire the natural organic shapes and not try to make it in a certain shape too much, because then you're going to have to replace your plants all the time. But I think it's better to just invest in plants that will last you a long time, which is best to do native plants, and then make sure that the environment fits with the plants that you got. So we have a lot of sun and it gets very hot. So we have all plants that like heat and sun, because if a plant is only going to enjoy shadow, it's not going to live here. And this is a jasmine that we already had, but I put a rack, well, Arjan put up a rack here so it can grow against the wall. So probably after it's done blooming, I'm probably going to trim a bit on this side and stimulate it to grow up here, so that you get this whole green wall over here. So that's the vision, the plan. And then we're back in the corner again. So this is the stairs that I got on the marketplace, a real life market. I mean, this woman said it's usually to enter your boat, your houseboat. And my mom lived on a houseboat, and she said she had probably the same one. So I was like, oh, maybe it's yours, your old one then. But she said no. But I'm just using it as just to kind of create a little bit height and dimension. So I put my lemon trees on here. So this is my lemon tree, and then I have another one down here. So yeah, because it's a tree, it doesn't grow that fast, but I grew them from a lemon that I bought from the supermarket. And then I just got the seeds and nourished them. So yeah, I have 2 lemon trees and 1 sad lemon tree over there. And then another pumpkin. And this is just, you could say weeds, but we just...
And some mint as well.
Oh, and some mint, that's right. And then this is just a planter where we planted a couple of native plants also. So we just kind of let it do its thing. And then this one we already had, but it is about to bloom, but you're not going to see that in this video because it usually blooms in the fall. But yeah, it's going well. So I think, yeah, those were all the additions. We've just been having a lot of fun with the garden this year. We've just been growing our own food more. We've been gardening a lot. We've been giving water differently thanks to the rain barrel. And it's definitely become a lot more inviting place to be. So we're outside a lot. We just had dinner here. I cleaned it up before I filmed this, of course. So yeah, we're just outside a lot. I have lunch here almost every day. We eat outside, we garden. Arjan does bird watching. I read outside. It's just very nice to make your outside place as inviting as possible, because it invites you to be outside more and just, you know, have a little bit of sunlight on your face and look at the sky a little bit during the day instead of just sitting inside. I think it's good to be outside if you have the opportunity. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little makeover. I try to keep everything as sustainable and native as possible, but if you have any more tips, or maybe you learned something from this video, or you just enjoyed it, please subscribe. There will be a part 2 probably next year. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.